What's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a simply neological podcast. I am your co-host, and with me is Jan, who's filling in this week for Ban. Hello, Jan. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Doing well. And just wondering, who is your co-host? You said co-host.
Well, Ben is my other co-host, but today you are the other. That's how co-hosts work. There's two
I didn't
people.
realize I had that much responsibility.
It's a cooperative here.
Okay.
We're going to cooperate today, right, sister?
I'll try my best.
Yeah. So Jen is my sister. She's been on this podcast once, twice?
I think a couple times.
A couple times. You've been on my channel many times, but the podcast a couple times. But we thought it would be fun today, in absence of Ben, to do another Am I the Asshole Reddit podcast, but this time sister edition.
Oh.
So Jen, are you familiar with the Am I the Asshole threads on Reddit? Do you know what they're all about?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, this is a test. What are they about?
We have to decipher who in the situation is the asshole.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of serious stuff sometimes. Sometimes there's funnier stuff. I always try to aim for a balance of both. But, you know, sometimes everything just gets serious. Shit is just serious. But, yeah, we'll try and keep it a little bit light today. You guys really seem to enjoy these episodes, so thank you. And actually, before we move on, we should talk about today's sponsor.
It's not me.
It's on you, though.
Oh.
What's on you?
Holo Taco?
Yeah, it's the new Holo Taco Work-Life Balance Collection of 4 new, bold, bright cremes. They are anything but boring, and they're ready to spice up your office life. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to be bored at the office. And with nails like this, you know, there's just no being boring.
No.
What's your favorite color of the new 4 cremes, Jen?
I mean, I like the red.
Yeah, left on red.
Left on red.
Is that what happens to you a lot?
All the time.
You're always left on red?
All the time.
It's really unfortunate. Are you that coworker who's just constantly following up all the time and won't give anyone time?
I'm the one that's like, can you get this to me now, please?
Let's go. Come on. End of business day. Close of business day. Let's go. Just a friendly reminder. Just a casual
with a smiling
reminder.
face so that you don't look mean.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so those are available now at holotaco.com. They just launched yesterday. They are not limited edition, but they are exciting. And also, Everything Taco is back. The ultimate taco topper. It's a mix of 9 of our different wonderful toppers. She's back. I'm very excited about it. And yeah, that's that. So let's move on to the subject of the day, the first meeting agenda item and the only agenda item today, which is going through Reddit posts, Am I the Asshole Sister Edition.
Let's do it.
All right, first one. Am I the asshole for kicking my sister out of the house at night because she threw all of my food away? I seriously can't believe this is a thing, but my parents are really upset at me. My sister and I grew up together, but aren't very close. It really wasn't from any drama. We didn't have a big fight to cause distance, but rather just have opposite personalities and interests. If I had to describe my attitude towards my sister, it would be apathetic love. Like, she's my sister, so I want her to be healthy and happy, but we just unfortunately don't hang out, call to chat, etc. She recently received an opportunity to interview for a job near our hometown and reached out to see if she could stay with me for a week. My mother was ecstatic that my sister might be coming home finally. She moved across the country right after college and hasn't been back in almost 10 years except for Christmas. She spends Thanksgiving with her in-laws, or the one-off birthday business trip vacation. I was more than happy to open my home up, thinking that we could maybe bond or deepen our relationship. It was all kind of awkward, but nothing horrible until the 3rd night. I came home from drinks with my friends around 10 p.m., went into my kitchen for a snack, and realized that almost all of my food was gone. I'm not even exaggerating. I swear, 90% of my pantry was just gone. I asked my sister, and she told me that she was shocked I ate anything with preservatives, an unnatural, quote, and that I was, quote, poisoning my body, so she took it upon herself to throw away everything she deemed unhealthy. Guys, I'm talking about so much food, both packaged and unpackaged. Even things like spices that weren't fresh were tossed. It was like someone had robbed my kitchen. I demanded that she pay to replace everything, but she dug her heels in and said that she was doing me a favor and that the way I ate was, quote, disgusting, her literal words. I know I'm biased, but my diet isn't even crazy. It's pretty much standard food you'd find at any grocery store. I was so upset I made her pack up and leave, and she ended up having to take a cab about 30 minutes away to stay with my parents. My mom is absolutely devastated that we're fighting and insists that I apologize in order to keep the peace because she really hopes my sister will take the job and move back. I told my mom that if she wanted to lose out on not one but both daughters, then she'd keep pushing me to apologize for something I feel I have a right to be upset about. My dad says that she's been crying every night though, and I love my mom so much. I feel like a huge asshole for being stubborn about the situation. Edit, to answer a few questions I was asked, yes, I did invite my sister out to drink with me. She declined, saying that she didn't like going to dive bars and that I wanted to stay sober. I respected that decision, but I'd already planned to go out with my girlfriends. I did the math, and she threw away close to $1,000 worth of food. I listed some items in a comment below, but it included things like dried pasta, ground beef, pre-cut veggies in a container, juice, canned soups, rice, chicken broth, leftovers, and even bread. This wasn't even close to the start of my list. Jen, would you do this to me? Would you throw out my food?
No. I don't think it's up to anyone else to decide what someone else should eat. Like, you're entitled to decide what you want to eat. I don't know. Like, sure, you can offer a suggestion and be like, hey, I've been researching or whatever, and like, this is deemed healthier, or this is what I found. Like, maybe you should consider this.
Oh my God. I knew that was going to happen. Zyler spooked you.
You're not used to this. Freaked me out. Yeah. Hey, Zy. But yeah, I don't like, it's up to the person to make their own decision on what they want to eat. Like, if they want to eat, which what she just listed there doesn't even sound bad. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that the sister who came into not her house and then threw out not her belongings is the asshole.
Yes, especially if she's not willing to like pay her back either.
Yeah, that's also ridiculous.
Food is very expensive.
It's one thing if you want to go out and buy all this organic bullshit because, you know, that's what you want to eat, and maybe you're trying to convince your relative this is the way to go with the organic chicken, ma'am. Then, like, you can do that, but, like, go out and buy it and offer it. You can offer it, but you can't just toss everything.
No, that's not okay, because the sister...
The OP, the poster, yeah.
The poster who... lives there has obviously like spent her money on all this food, and then for the other sister to just like throw it all away, well, that's not fair.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that the sister who had temporarily moved in for the week did this while the poster sister was away.
Yeah,
like this original sister went out for some drinks or something and then came home to find this situation, and I would be fucking pissed.
I would be really mad too, especially if I was like, you know, feeling good, got my buzz on after drinks and want to come home for a little snack.
There's no munchies
and there's nothing to eat.
There's organic chicken.
Oh man,
that's it.
I'd be real mad.
Or was there even organic chicken? Like, did she even say that she replaced anything?
Ground beef, I don't know.
No, that's what she threw out.
Oh.
She threw out the dried pasta, ground beef, pre-cut veggies.
I don't think it says it.
She threw out pre-cut veggies and chicken broth and rice and bread? Oh, because it was white. Okay, this is insane to me. And I feel like
Zyler's making a move on me right now.
He's smelling you. He's
no,
like,
he was rubbing his head up against me.
Oh, he likes you. He wants you to stay.
I'm his favorite auntie.
I think you're doing well so far. So maybe that's his, hi, you approve? He's like, hi, he's used to shoving his head into Ben. I'm here now. I won't throw your food out. Sorry, that's me.
Playing footsies with me.
Any other thoughts? It seems like OP is concerned because their parents, specifically their mom, wants them to keep the peace.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think you sometimes need to stay out of other people's arguments and let them figure it out.
Especially because, like, they don't live with the mom in the situation, right? It's like the OP, this original sister's house.
And I don't really understand why they're so upset with the poster, because it's not like the poster kicked the sister out onto the street or anything. She had somewhere else to go. If it was an issue of like, get out of my house, I don't care where you end up, Siler's really looking for some attention, then sure, I don't agree with that. Like, safety is important, but she had somewhere else to go. So I don't know why the parents are upset with the poster.
Because maybe they like the second sister better.
I know what that like, feels like.
Shut up. She's just joking. She's joking. You have to clarify. But like, maybe they're just like, to the OP, you need to fold and do everything your other sister wants,
but that's
because
not fair.
We love her more.
But that's not fair.
Of course not. Yeah. But there could be some background context there into why the parents are really upset at OP. Because if I was the parents, I'd be like, you guys, you sisters, you figure it out. Yeah. You know, like, that's up to you guys. I hope that you can treat each other with respect, but like, I'm not getting involved. Mm-hmm. Unless you live under their roof, then I guess so. But that's not the case here.
No.
All right. So, moral of the story, don't throw out other people's food.
Especially if you're a visitor in their home.
Yeah.
It's not up to you to make those decisions for them.
When you came over earlier, you ate my food.
That is true. I made her feed me.
But at least you're consuming it and not disposing of it and wasting it.
Hey, it was good, too. So
you liked it?
I'd eat it again, yeah.
Good. I'm glad you like my taste of
I won't
food.
throw out any of your food.
You have a lot of food that I, prepare or blend. You like my smoothies?
Sometimes.
Okay. We try. All right. Next one. Am I the asshole for turning down a family vacation because I would have to pay and my sister wouldn't? My 28-year-old female parents are organizing a family holiday abroad and have approached me stating that they will be paying for my sister, 30-year-old female's, holiday, but not mine. This is because to them, I can afford it and she cannot, and that is the only way we would all be able to go on a vacation together. They couldn't pay for us both. That it's their money and that they can do as they wish with it, and that I am in a good spot financially right now and my sister isn't. If I ever find myself in a bad spot, they will help me out. But to me, it's not that simple. I am more financially stable than my sister because I have chosen to live in a cheaper area despite being further from my friends, followed a career path where financial security is guaranteed, and always live well within my means, whereas my sister has followed a career path which is, unfairly, I admit, underpaid, insisted on living close to her friends despite the high rent, and likes to spend more money on her lifestyle. My parents think the crux of it is that I am the lucky person that my passion lines up with a well-paid job, and my sister is unlucky that her passion does not, so my sister deserves more help due to that bad luck. They also think that I am lucky to have a partner that I could move away with to a cheaper area with, and my sister, who doesn't currently have a serious partner, is unlucky in that respect, so it would be a greater deal to move away from her friends and therefore, again, unlucky. Again, they insist if the tables were turned and our fortunes were reversed, they would help me out. Am I the asshole for refusing this holiday and choosing one with my friends at the same time instead? If the money thing wasn't there, I would probably have chosen this family holiday, but I just feel like my frugal decisions are now being punished, and this is unfair. I'm not angling for my parents to pay for me too, and I always feel bad kind of suggesting indirectly my sister pays for hers, but I still feel really hard done by that my sister is being coddled, and the fact that she spends quite a lot on a day-to-day basis, much more than me, is being rewarded. My parents and sister think I am being money hungry and not very compassionate to my sister's unlucky love life and underpaid profession. This is stopping us from going on a vacation, all four of us, which is upsetting my parents. There are layers.
There are a lot of layers.
In this one, it's an onion peel.
I feel like it's not one right answer.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just start by saying this sister, the poster, said that they decided that they are refusing that holiday so they could go on a holiday with their friends, which I think if you're paying for it, you can decide. It's your money, whatever you want to do with it. So if you'd rather go on that vacation with your friends and you're paying for it, go for it. I don't think you should feel bad about doing what you want, especially when you're the one, funding that decision.
Sure. But that's not the issue, I think, that's being unpacked here, right? The issue is like, well, is she rightfully upset with her parents?
Yeah, the the question is, am I the asshole for refusing this holiday?
Yeah, you're right. But I do think most people would probably have a reaction to the first part.
I know,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more layers there.
That's
So
what I'm
I was
saying.
starting with the
With the-
easier,
Yeah, right.
the easier part of it.
So start with the answer to the actual question, which is like, no, she's not an asshole for declining to go on a family trip that would require her to spend the money, and instead she wants to pivot those funds to going on a trip with her friends.
Right.
Like, whatever. You go on whatever trip you want with your money.
Exactly.
Now, if we're going to the other issues evident in this post, I think this one is tricky because a lot of families are different.
Yeah.
And different families have different expectations. I think my position is, first and foremost, it's not, I don't think it's fair to expect a gift from your parents or anyone in your life, really, automatically. And I think there's some undertone here that she is expecting to be paid or paid back or given a gift in the exact same amount as her sister. And I don't know if that's because of a history of establishing that as precedent in that family. If it was established as precedent that, like, we're always going to give you guys the exact same amount growing up and this is what you can expect, then I can understand the frustration if that's not actually true. But I see no indication in her post that that was established in their family. It just seems like she has a history of being resentful, that she hasn't been given financial rewards from her parents because she didn't need it.
Right. And she even said, if she were in a bad spot, then
Her parents
they
would
would help her out. But because she's not, they're not willing to.
They're not helping her out. But I can understand how this still makes this person feel. Now, I don't think you can ever expect a gift from someone, especially like if you're self-admitting you don't need it.
Yeah.
So that is the first point, first and foremost. I just want to be clear. Like, the parents owe their kids nothing. However, if it's me who's not a parent, I would probably take the position of aiming to always treat my children equally, but I would set those expectations very early on. I will say, no matter where you go in your careers or what you need or what you decide, I hope that you can, learn how to be responsible and whatever you want to do. But I will treat you guys equally and I will help you out just the same. That's me. But I know that different families do things differently depending on how things turn out.
Yeah. And again, speaking as someone who is not a parent, I would agree with that stance because you'd want to kind of keep it equal. And also, I just don't think it's fair, I guess, to either punish or reward someone, like depending on whatever their career path is. And if that career path you do end up being, less having a less financial advantage, just because if you have a certain drive and that's your career path and that's something you enjoy, but it doesn't make as much money as another one, I think you should still follow that career path because you should do something that you truly care about and truly enjoy. Yeah, it sucks if maybe you're not making as much as your sister or whoever it may be, but at least you're doing something that you were driven to do.
And I think that if you were, in this situation, the sister who chose a less rewarding career financially, let's say, and you kind of knew that going into it, you shouldn't have done so expecting your parents to fill the gap.
No.
So that's important too. And we're seeing it from the other sister's POV, not the sister who is making less money. But I don't think you can rely on anyone to fill that gap. If you feel like there's a gap, that gap is, not on anyone's gift to be filled on your part. As far as we're concerned, maybe to give some context, we've been, I think you can agree, been treated very equally by our parents, by our grandparents. We're 3 years apart, which isn't that different when it comes to where you are in, high school, university, or whatever. But I think our parents and grandparents and people in our life who have given us money, whatever, whether it was for school or rent or gifts for birthday parties, have made a point to make sure it's exactly equal.
Yeah.
It's very egalitarian. And I think maybe I'm biased towards I like this model because I grew up with this model. It makes sense to me. It's more fair. And it kind of erases context around it. However, at the same time, me and you are also very determined. We are self-starters. We've always had 3 jobs at the same time. And we're both very motivated in that sense. So it's hard to say because we're not like the OP and their sister in this situation. We can't relate to being like on the opposite ends.
No. Well, and just to add to your point of the way we grew up, everything was pretty equal. We never had issues, like this. Like we never were jealous of the other one
Except
because
if
they got
the wrong
something.
Color.
Or when you got the Hulk Hogan toy.
Yeah. The only time I remember like being upset is like if I got something green but you got like purple. Yeah. And I really wanted the purple version of it. Like that's it. But other than that, we got the exact same gifts. If we got money from grandma, it was the exact same amount. When we both went to university, we got the same promise of the certain portion of our education being paid for, and like that's it. And when we each bought our respective first homes, we each got a gift from one of our relatives that was the same amount. And I feel like that helped us in our relationship without even like knowing it, but we probably would have been annoyed had someone been given more, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can understand that frustration, but it's also hard to put myself in a position that I'm just not, Mm-hmm. So yeah. All right. Next one. You don't even have tea though, so
I have water.
We're not the same. My sister drinks coffee.
Correct.
We're never gonna get along.
No, okay, never.
Next one. Am I the asshole for not helping my sister to remove something that insults her? My sister cheated on her husband.
Ooh,
her husband is a restaurant owner. He has one of those quirky restaurants with funny food names. It's all one-liners. I'm not a fan of it because I find it embarrassing, but the food's good. Once the divorce went through, he added a menu item along the lines of, quote, Sarah's cheating chicken ass. My sister's name is something super generic. I know like 19 Sarahs. A friend sent Sarah the menu, and she was outraged. She came to me to ask her to help her take it down. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't plan to be, but I've taken corporate law courses and have friends that are lawyers, but I don't want to help her. In my personal opinion, she deserves this, and I don't want to get involved. The only ones that would know who this is about already know the story, so there is not really a case for defamation. There are too many Sarahs. The only thing we could do is send a cease and desist letter, but that's not legally binding, and it's a hassle. I told my sister, so she got mad at me and told our parents, who say that what her ex is doing is worse than what she did. Am I the asshole?
No. My view of this is you did something. You brought that title on to yourself. You have to take some sort of accountability for it. And it's not like it has this person's full name where it has, Sarah and whatever the last name is so that this person can be identified. It's more of a, like they said, generic name.
I'm not a lawyer, but this is funny.
Yeah.
This is criminally humorous. I don't know if this would count for defamation.
No.
Because it doesn't target an individual. It is someone's first name. So
right.
How could anyone reasonably know? I don't think there's a reasonable expectation that anyone ordering off the menu would know which Sarah or know that it's related to like something true. And if you're going to talk about defamation, that means you have to be lying. But if she had been proven to cheat, then would Sarah's cheating chicken ass be defamation?
No.
Maybe not. But again, I am not a lawyer. But I do find this kind of funny, though. It's petty. It's
totally,
petty. It's
but
so
it's
petty,
funny.
But it's kind of like Sarah's cheating. All right.
I mean, if this is the worst way that the ex-husband is reacting and like feeling, I'm sure he's feeling like a little resentful. If this is the worst thing he's doing, then like that's really not that bad.
I know, right? Like people have different ways of dealing with it, and kind of like musicians like to work their stories into their music and their lyrics. Right. This is just that, you own a restaurant, you're going to work Sarah's cheating chicken ass into your menu.
Well, and that's the thing. So compare it to a pop singer or someone who writes a lyric, doesn't necessarily say the person that they're talking about, or like it's a made up name or something like that. That's not defamation either.
Or it's just a first name, and it is what it is. There's nothing you can really do. It's art, and maybe the chicken tastes good.
Yeah, So why would you take it off the menu?
Maybe the chicken's really spicy.
And if the customers are laughing about it and, eating the food, then I wouldn't take it off the menu either.
I think Sarah needs an order of chicken.
Yeah.
And Sarah's sister.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one. Am I the asshole for refusing to babysit for my sister? My 19-year-old female sister, 32 years old, Mary, we'll call her, and her husband, 28, John, have twins, a boy and a girl, both 10 months old. My parents were ecstatic when they found out she was pregnant, as the twins were their first grandchildren, and my sister had been struggling with getting pregnant for a while. I was happy for my sister and John, but I couldn't help but wonder how they were going to handle this financially. They've been in quite a bit of debt and both work long hours. My question was answered a few weeks ago when we were having a big family dinner. Me, my parents, Mary, John, brother Mike, brother Josh, and his wife Sophie. My sister announced that she would be returning to work in 2 weeks, so they were going to need everyone to chip in and babysit and help them out financially. I'm not going to lie, I was shocked when I heard this because it sounded a bit ridiculous that they expected everyone to babysit their kids for free and to give them money for their debts. Mary went around the table asking everyone when they could watch the twins so she could draw up a roster and how much money they could spare. Everyone was contributing, and Sophie was even talking about trying to move her work shifts around so that she could babysit. I'm a full-time college student, and I have a part-time job at a bakery, so I really have no time or cash to spare. I'm also not great with kids, especially babies. I literally have absolutely no idea how to take care of them. When Mary got around to me, she said she thought I could do the most hours since I was only in college and didn't have any serious commitments. Her whole attitude kind of annoyed me, and I told her I wasn't going to be babysitting her kids or going to chip in money-wise, and that it was her decision to have kids, so it's her responsibility. The room went silent, and my sister started crying, and everyone started giving out to me for being selfish, and my mom said that in our family we take care of each other. I left the dinner because everyone was so mad at me and demanding I apologize. I agree that maybe I was a little blunt with her and maybe I should have offered to babysit once or twice, but I don't think I'm completely in the wrong. My family is still pissed at me and my parents are demanding I not only apologize to Mary and John, but write them a check to help them out. I have like $70 in my bank account, so that's not going to happen. I want to apologize for being rude, but I know they're still going to expect help. Am I the asshole?
Layers. There's more
okay?
layers on this one.
Take a deep breath.
There's more layers. I'm trying to gather my thoughts here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mary.
I don't think, this is my personal opinion, think that someone's child is someone else's responsibility. Unless the person has offered and doesn't have to put their own priorities on the back burner in order to help the other person out.
Yeah. I think this kind of goes back to different families and different cultures have different expectations of how their family is going to contribute to their own decisions, whether it's like putting someone through school or raising their kids or helping them out in times of need. Every family is different. So same answer that I kind of gave as like a high level statement to a previous one. So we're kind of missing background context into how this family expects people to behave other than what OP is telling us. And it sounds like they do have high expectations of everyone to chip in.
But so this should have been a conversation prior to expecting,
But
it should have been a conversation before. Are you able to, and what are you able to provide in order to help out in this situation?
So, yeah, I see what you mean. But at the same time, if I'm 19 years old and my 32-year-old sister comes to me and says, hey, by the way, I'm going to have a baby. Can you commit to helping me out for X, Y, Z? I'm going to be like, no. Yeah. But that's me. I think it's unreasonable to put that burden on someone else who isn't part of, the two people or one person or however many people agree to raise a child together.
Agreed. And I also don't think they should expect money from their 19-year-old college sibling who's obviously, trying to make it through school, working a part-time job. They probably don't have enough means to pay towards your baby.
Yeah, I think it's an unreasonable expectation regardless of the family member's age or, proximity to you, unless it's the person who's agreed to raise the baby with you, right? Like it is traditionally the parents, the people choosing to have a baby and raise the baby responsibility to do it financially, to do it physically, to do it emotionally, to be mentally available and be able to handle it. I Again, I almost feel like this might be a cultural difference. There are different types of families who feel like when someone has a kid, it becomes the responsibility of the whole family. But that kind of removes the choice of the people who weren't involved in the decision to have a child. If you're like, the sister of that person, you weren't involved in that decision, obviously. And I feel like that's what's not fair. It's this forced responsibility that you didn't opt into.
And I just find it, because it says that the sister was also expecting them to give them money towards their debts.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it seems as though in this situation, the poster also has their own debts. I mean, they're in college. If they have $70 in their bank account, they probably can't afford to give extra money to someone else's debts. And I don't think it's fair that the sister would expect that.
I think the worst part about this whole thing is the sentence, when Mary got around to me, she said that she thought I could do the most hours since I was only in college and didn't have any serious commitments.
Yeah, I didn't like that either, because college is a serious commitment, and
it's just this attitude that the older sister, who is 32, is like shaming or reducing the sister's, work and what she does in life, her college or whatever, to something that doesn't matter as much as the older sister's priorities or child. Like, that's not your decision to make. You can't tell your sister, oh, what you're doing in school is not as important as my baby.
Well, and that's what I was saying before. Everyone has their own priorities, and it's not fair for you to expect someone to put their priorities on the back burner just to, help out whatever your priority may be. Everyone has the choice to do what they want.
It does feel like OP wants to stand up for themselves. They want to do right, but they are, rightfully concerned that their family is going to be upset with them. I think the family is unreasonable for being upset with them and dismissing it, but I can also try and understand that if that's the way your family is going to behave, do you want to be in a situation where everyone hates you because you wouldn't give them $70 or babysit twins you don't know how to take care of?
And there is likely more context that we don't have. Like, maybe these children were raised in a very family orientated, so they had their aunts and uncles, helping out their parents. So maybe that's why this sister is expecting the same for her child.
I think the same answer as we've kind of given across the board here. You can't expect anything from anyone else, and to take actions in your life expecting that you're going to have other people fill in the gaps, whether it's financially or taking care of kids. I don't think that is a reasonable position to live your life by. I think you always got to look out for you and your immediates who've made that joint decision, and don't put yourself in a position where you're expecting other people to make up for gaps.
Yeah.
And that's on facts. All right, next one. After a sip of tea. Am I the asshole for not allowing my siblings at my wedding? My fiance, 30-year-old male, and I, 28-year-old female, are getting married in April of 2023. I am super excited to marry the person I love, and we have both spent a lot of money on this wedding, so it can be the happiest day of our lives. Because of how much money we have spent on our wedding, and because my fiance and I both don't really like kids, we have decided to make our wedding child-free. I was spending the night at my sister's house, and our mother, 54-year-old female, came over to visit. My sister is 25 years old, but even my younger siblings are 12, 10, and 7. Before I tell you what happens, I will say that my little siblings are pretty spoiled by my mother, and they have ruined my cousin's graduation party by screaming and demanding that they open her gifts because it wasn't fair that they didn't get gifts. I was discussing my wedding with my sister when I brought up the fact that it was going to be child-free. My mother laughed and said that she supports my decision because she cannot stand other people's children ruining the wedding. I told my mom that I would help her find childcare for the wedding. She then got serious and asked me what I meant, and I told her that I would be able to help her find childcare for my younger siblings during the wedding. My mother began to freak out at me, yelling about how I needed to invite my siblings to the wedding and that this was a family event. I quoted her on what she said about other kids being annoying during the wedding, and she snapped back at me, saying that it was different because it was her children and my siblings, and how could I be so cruel to them? My sister tried to calm her down, but my mom freaked out even more, saying that she was going to disown me if I didn't invite the rest of my siblings to the wedding. She then stormed out of the house, and she hasn't spoken to me for 5 days. My sister says, well, it's my wedding. I should just invite them so she doesn't have a meltdown. Am I the asshole?
I mean, I've never had a wedding, but my understanding from my friends who have had to plan weddings, there's always family politics in the wedding invites and, you know, the guest list and who even
who
like
sits where.
Who sits where, who's responsible for what. I don't know. So
yeah,
sounds pretty messy. I don't envy you.
It all sounds like another event to just cause family drama, honestly.
And I've been to weddings where they say child free, like no exceptions, and they're a lot more fun that way.
So is that always respected, like in your experience? Because you've been to quite a few weddings in the last like 5 years.
Yeah. And I mean, if I were ever to have a wedding, I think that would be my preference as well. Just because you don't have to worry about kids screaming or babies screaming, like as you're walking down the aisle or whatever it may be. You don't have to worry about if you have an open bar and if there's like 12-year-olds, you know, trying to sneak around, stuff like that, you know, which could be more serious.
Reasonable concerns. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think it's pretty well respected when people do decide no kids, but it normally is like a blanket statement, like no children.
No kids under
means nobody.
12? Like, or what's...
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on what the bride and the groom want.
What does it say in the invite? Like, it just says no children?
It would just say, no children. And sometimes they'll even frame it in the sense like no children, enjoy your night out too, like away from your kids, you know, have a good time. You don't have to worry about your kids. Yeah.
And so when you've gone to these weddings, but you also have friends who have kids, they're totally cool with it and fine with leaving their kids. Or the family of the people getting married who might have kids, they don't mind.
I mean, not to my knowledge, but I haven't quizzed them on if their aunt was mad at them or whatever it may be. But yeah, I don't think it's much of an issue.
And again, it's probably like family politics and underlying expectations. There is a double standard, though, that OP brought up when the mother originally was like, yes, I hate kids ruining weddings. And then was like, wait, but not my kids. They have to come. My 7, 10, and 12-year-old.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I've seen where maybe for the ceremony or something, they'll have like a 5-year-old flower girl or ring bearer, whatever it may be. But then the kids are not allowed at the reception later.
So there's an exemption.
So they can do kind of,
child exemption for the ceremony.
It's almost like, you know, let's meet in the middle so the kids can attend the ceremony. If they're supposed to be part of the wedding, then the family feels good about that, right? But then later, kick them to the curb.
I think, like, I'm not a wedding person. You guys know this. We've had a whole podcast about my unpopular opinion that I don't care about marriage. So I don't know if that makes it easier or like worse for me to give input on this, because in some ways I'm more like impartially removed because I don't give a shit. I'm not as emotionally attached to having a wedding, but maybe that's also a bad thing. I don't know. Anyways, my opinion is the people getting married, the marriage is generally about two people who choose to get married. It's up to them, I think, what happens at their wedding, unless their wedding is entirely funded by someone else, in which case that is up to the people's getting married decision to accept funding from an external source. And oftentimes when an external source is funding it, they have certain requirements and asks that they want implemented, which you can kind of understand, just like a research project. When that's being funded by an external source, they have certain requests that they want implemented because they're paying for it.
Yes, so, and I agree. Ultimately, a wedding is supposed to be between two people getting married, right? Mm-hmm. And it sounds like in this situation, they are funding it themselves. But just, you know, from what I've heard from friends who have had weddings, it's never just about the two people. It's
Yeah,
always
it's
about
always
the families, like who they want to invite and stuff like that, like business friends or whoever it may be, distant relatives that the couple who's getting married hasn't
seen
ever
in like
met.
8 years or never
Yeah.
met.
But it's all these like weird family dynamics and politics, really, family politics, in order not to upset anyone. So it's
Yeah.
never really actually just about the bride and groom, unless, or whatever it may be, the two people getting married, unless they do take a stance and say like, okay, it's about us.
Shut the fuck up, everyone.
Whatever I say goes, which
Yeah.
I mean, I would encourage that, but
If I was the person who wanted to get married, that would be me. I'd be like, shut the fuck up, everyone. This is what me and Ben want. Like, this is how it's gonna go. If you're not happy with it, don't come. I don't care.
yeah, exactly. So
But yeah, I do understand what you mean, because you've witnessed a lot of friends go through it, and it's just family politics. And,
Yeah.
you know, a mother might say, well, I need my friend Doris invited, but you can't invite Leslie over there because they don't get along, because 20 years ago
Yeah.
her husband hit on Doris.
and it just seems like sometimes weddings really can be about, it's almost like a big show.
It's
right?
a spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So families want to, whether, you know, they're trying to impress people or whatever it may be. So they want certain people invited, or they also just maybe don't want to hurt someone's feelings, right?
Yeah, I'm an alien in this conversation because I don't understand it. I mean, I understand the human psychology of why people want to have a spectacle and impress and show off. Well, our family has this, and we did this, and we had this many bridesmaids, and we rented this golf course. Like, I can get why people care, but I don't give a shit at all for the spectacle and the drama and the making it all about, let's get 8 hours worth of pictures, you know,
Yeah.
so I can frame it and put it above my headboard.
I mean, at the end of the day, nothing against people who do want to get married, but I think you need to remember why you're getting married. It should be about the love that you
people,
have
yeah.
between the two people, right? It shouldn't be about the spectacle. But a lot of the times,
you are kind of marrying the family.
exactly. A lot of the times, that's how it just ends up being.
Yeah. And I know that I'm for sure in the comments, there's going to be people who are like, well, actually, in a family, you must consider A, B, C, D, whatever,
For
because
sure.
whatever. But it's like, we are the exception. I acknowledge we are different than the average. We have the unpopular opinion of not really caring.
And I would also say, depending on, you know, the background and culture of whoever's getting married, like that changes things too, right? So I think in some cultures, you know, a certain person from a certain family member might have a certain like duty or stuff like that. So that could include a child, right? So if the child's not able to do that duty, that could kind of ruin their cultural aspect of things too, right?
Yeah. It's not in our culture, family, or religion to require marriage.
No.
not
for us. No.
Not for me and Jen.
Yeah.
Sorry, when I said our, I meant Jen and I.
Yeah.
But it's okay if it's in yours. Just
Of course. Yeah.
All right. Next one. Am I the asshole for fining my daughter for wearing her sister's clothes? I have a 17-year-old that will not stop wearing her 19-year-old sister's freshly laundered clothes, even bras and underwear. She never washes them and returns them or asks for permission, and her sister just finds her clothes worn and dirty in her sister's room. We put a lock on the oldest's door, but the oldest was letting the youngest in her room because the light is better to do her makeup, so she didn't lock it this weekend. This has been a source of conflict for years. No consequences have curbed her stealing. The youngest has a great job and is always bragging about how much money she has, so this time I decided to just make her pay for all the clothes she has taken. $500. She also takes makeup and stuff from my bathroom without returning it. I figure the only consequence that will hurt her is her bank account. Now the youngest is threatening to run away and hates her older sister. Am I an asshole? Aw, this poor mom.
I know. The
Teenagers,
poor mother trying
fucking
to,
teenagers.
I mean, I think you do need to set some type of boundary if someone is continuously doing something that is, I guess, harming others in the situation.
Yeah, if you're the parent and you
Yeah.
have 2 kids and one of them is stealing from the other kid, I think you as a parent have some responsibility to do something. But what do you think of her strategy, which was fine? Well, how do you impose a fine
Yeah,
on a
is
kid?
it per piece of clothing or is it like how much the actual clothing is worth?
I mean, yeah, first I want to know, what did she steal? Is it impossible to return it? Because like if you stole something from me 15 years ago, it would just be in your room. I would just go back to your room and take it.
Yeah, but I guess they're mad because the older sister can't wear their own clothes because the younger sister is always wearing
Always
it and
taking
won't
it.
wash it or whatever.
Yeah.
So the older sister can't actually wear their own clothes. I think that's what I'm gathering.
Yeah, I think if I was the parent, my first approach would be to demand that they return it. And if they refuse to return it, then they can face a consequence, which is reimbursing their sister for items that
Right.
refuse to be returned. And if that amount calculates to 500, then that's what it calculates. But I don't know where she got the 500. If that's just an arbitrary fine, I would
Yeah, I
say
don't
that's
know.
a little weird. But like clothes cost a lot of money. I don't know.
Or at least be like, can you wash them and return them?
But
I
if
don't
they
know.
refuse to return them and they're like,
Yeah.
no, they're mine now. Like they literally like you stole my clothes and you're like, they're mine now.
Well, the older sister, it sounds like you need to keep your door locked.
I buy a lock on the door. Yeah, honestly. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like this is teenagers. Did we ever do this? Did we ever steal each other's clothes?
Like maybe like very minimally.
I wouldn't use the word stealing.
No, we would
Like
borrow.
And occasionally we probably just took someone's shirt without
Yeah.
asking, because maybe it's like you weren't home or you weren't there and I just took a shirt.
But we'd usually return it, I think.
But they would end up in the same laundry anyways. And then we would just find our own clothes back in the mutual laundry. So it didn't really matter. I don't know if fining is going to make sense. I think that the punishment should fit the crime.
But I mean, if you are stealing,
If it's
like,
actually
and not
stolen and not
it,
returning.
then a fine could be a
fine proportional to the cost of the goods stolen.
Yeah. And because if obviously the younger sister who has a job and is making money, it's obviously something that they care about. So if they're deducting from that money, then they're going to want to stop.
And I think that's a good lesson in how to run your financial accounts too, right? Because if you're facing a penalty for stealing something that you thought was free, as if it didn't have any value to the person you stole it from, then if you sanction them with a financial penalty, they appreciate the financial value that object had to the person you stole it from.
Right, exactly.
Hopefully. I mean,
Hopefully.
that's the goal.
Yeah.
We'll see if she learns. But like, I don't know, she's 17. You'd think that's old enough to know, like, don't steal your sister's shit and please, clean it and return it if you do choose to borrow it. But who knows? I hope she grows up. Maybe she's just in a euphoria phase. Watch too much of that TV show. You never know. I hope the best for these two sisters and that they can ultimately get along and that the mother doesn't need to find her children.
Yeah, and just return the clothes.
Just give them back.
Yeah, you can borrow them instead of steal them.
Also, don't share underwear.
Yeah.
How do you feel about sharing underwear?
I'd rather not
Probably
share
not, yeah.
underwear, but
Mhm.
I'm sure others do.
No, I don't think we talked about this on a podcast about sharing underwear. Or wait, was it a stream? I can't remember. And then I was like, do people share underwear? And then all the comments were like, no, absolutely not. Even if you
Okay.
clean it, that's absolute no. And then I was
Okay.
like, okay, got it.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't use someone else's underwear.
It's-
And I wouldn't
yeah.
offer my underwear to someone else.
It's not a thought that has ever occurred to me,
No.
if I'm being honest. When I went into your room 15 years ago, I did not think to steal your underwear.
Thank you for that.
Just like your belts.
Appreciate
I always
that.
took your belts.
Did you?
Yeah, your belts.
I never wore belts.
Maybe some capris.
Okay.
I'm thinking like 2002,
Yeah.
that era of the thick, chunky belts. No?
I don't recall.
No recall. Okay. She's blocked that fashion era out
I've
of her memory.
blocked that out of my memory.
All right. Am I the asshole for removing my sister from the bridal party?
Oh. Sorry,
You
the
okay there?
microphone hit me.
She's making out with the mic. Am I the asshole for removing my sister from the bridal party because she won't wear the bridesmaid dress? My fiance, 28-year-old male, and I, 26-year-old female, are getting married in late August. The planning is going great. I asked my sister, 24-year-old female, to be one of my bridesmaids since we had always been very close. However, a couple weeks ago, I had to ask her to leave the bridal party. The dress I selected for my bridesmaids is very summery. Pink, strapless, knee-length. However, a few years ago, my sister converted to a very conservative church, and her new church has very strict modesty rules that do not allow her to show her arms, legs, or any of her chest or back. We argued over the bridesmaid dress, with her offering to wear leggings under the dress and have the top altered to wear a cardigan. I said no, as this would look very strange in my bridal party photos, and since she refused to wear the original dress, I asked her to leave the bridal party. My sister has been really upset, and now she feels like she shouldn't come to the wedding at all, but at the same time, I feel like her duty as a bridesmaid is to wear what I want her to. So I had the right to ask her to leave the party. Am I the asshole?
I think, yes, you're a little bit of an asshole, in my opinion. Yes.
I think she's an asshole.
Well, I do agree that even in my own experience of being a bridesmaid, I've never, said, no, I don't want to wear this dress because I just didn't like it. But I think when it's a reason, obviously that's important to you and this person's religion, then I think that's an acceptable excuse. They don't feel comfortable for a number of different reasons wearing a less conservative outfit, and I think that should be respected more so than you just need to match all my other bridesmaids.
I think this is a reasonable exception that should have been made, and I hear you. I think there's a difference between like someone just being really picky and like wanting to wear a tube top instead of a strap because it accentuates their body in a specific way, and they're just like looking for, I don't know, a better Instagram picture, versus someone who has certain standards that they want to abide by based on their religion. And I think that's something that you, as the sister hosting this bridesmaid party, needs to consider in your bridesmaid dresses. And also, like, what's the big deal? Like, she doesn't want it because she thinks it'll make her pictures look bad. This is what the spectacle of weddings, I guess. Like, I just like, why?
But are pictures more important than like
the comfort of your sister
feelings and being comfortable in what they're wearing?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly it. And it is really sad that it sounds like the OP is prioritizing, everyone matching exactly so their pictures look good,
right,
over her sister's discomfort with.
But I mean, I've also seen like lots of bridesmaids who are actually wearing different dresses, and I've seen where it's in like the same color scheme or whatever maybe, but they're all wearing different dresses. Like that still looks great in pictures.
I've seen that too. Like some of your pictures, like someone has a tube top, but someone else has a more high cut
tube top.
I don't know why a tube top is. I'm just thinking of one example. But like people do wear different cuts, and it's
everybody also has different body types and what they're comfortable in wearing, conservative or not. Everyone has different comfort levels, and I think that should be respected.
It does seem like people voted that OP was an asshole. Just to confirm, see that red label asshole?
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't think Jenny
I never noticed that before.
But there is kind of a hint. People on Reddit vote, are you the asshole, not the asshole, or everyone sucks in that situation?
So wait, how come we haven't looked at all the others?
They were there, you just didn't notice them.
I didn't notice.
You've had the right take all along. This was just a test, Jen.
Okay.
But no, I absolutely agree with you on this one. And this is just another reason why I detest the spectacle of weddings, because
more wedding drama.
Honestly, because you end up putting like things that are so superficial over like the real relationships and things that matter.
Right.
Yeah. But, who am I? Okay, this is the last one. Am I the asshole for not eating my sister-in-law's food due to her incredibly long fake nails? No, it's not me. It's not me.
Okay.
My nails are real. It's not me. I've been with my wife for 5 years now, married for 2. She's my best friend, and we are both very much on the same page. And thankfully, throughout this whole drama, she's had my back and agrees I've done nothing wrong. Her sister is younger than both her and I, being in her 20s. My in-laws invited us to dinner on Sunday, and my mother-in-law had prepared us a wonderful spread, which we took part in finishing up and preparing. It sounds so lovely, wonderful. My sister-in-law decided to make the salad, which she had mixed with her hands and fingers together. Usually I have absolutely no problem with hand-prepared food as long as hands are washed. My mother-in-law's kitchen setup is one geared towards entertaining too, so we were all helping out at our respective workstations when I noticed her long fake nails and the amount of dark brown crud beneath them. I've never noticed her wearing them before, but all I could see was black filth caked on the underside. You're like giving me the side eye. She saw me looking and snapped that it was just a fake tan. And I kind of laughed it off with her and carried on chopping my carrots to make it less awkward that she'd caught me looking. I discreetly told my wife later on, and she shrugged it off and said she didn't mind. Cool, I had done my part and warned her, and I do agree that we probably put all kinds of crap in our mouths without us knowing anyways. When it came time for dinner, my wife took some salad. I loaded up on baked potatoes and steak, which I honestly genuinely love. I'm not known for eating salad anyhow, but my my sister-in-law immediately offered me some, and I took it to be polite and left it on my plate. After dinner was over, she launched into an attack because I hadn't eaten the salad, and she accused me of thinking she wasn't clean. I told her I had taken exactly what I wanted to take and I didn't really want the salad, and my mother-in-law and father-in-law were both surprised at her reaction and asked her to compose herself. The rest of dinner was uneventful, if a little quiet. I felt really awkward about this and maybe think I should have just eaten the goddamn salad to save face, but it really turned my stomach to see how black her nails were. Am I the asshole?
I don't think so. I think if you don't want to eat something, you don't have to eat something, regardless of what the reason is.
Also, just like scanning this again, it doesn't sound like the OP actually said anything. Did they?
No.
It's just that they thought they were caught noticing the nails. So like they were visually looking at the sister-in-law's nails, but they didn't say anything. But then after dinner was over, the person with the nails attacked them because they weren't eating the salad. So maybe they had some
and I mean
some idea.
Like cooking with your hands is quite normal. Like there's certain things that are better to like use your hands for.
Or use tongs for.
No, sometimes it's better to use your hands when actually preparing.
Like
you
what?
Wouldn't know this
like
because
what,
you
Jen?
don't cook. So certain salads should be massaged.
Like kale.
Kale
and oil.
exactly.
I know that. I like
so
kale.
It's better to do it with your hands. I don't know what kind of salad this was, and there's certain things that it just works better if you use your hands. So I don't think anyone was doing anything wrong in this situation. But yes, as long as you wash your hands. Again, the person didn't mention if the sister-in-law did wash their hands.
I think they said, or no, they just said, I have no problem as long as hands are washed. Oh, yeah. She saw me looking and snapped that it was just fake tan.
Like, it sounds like the sister-in-law is a little bit insecure.
Though. Yeah. Or
so maybe there's more to the story.
I mean, it is possible that the person posting this just has no knowledge of like how you can have discoloration under fake nails, and it doesn't mean it's
Tell
dirt.
us about it.
Okay, let me educate you. So reading this, you think, ew, this person clearly has a bunch of gunk under their nails and it's unsanitary, right? Like, because you read it that way. But I also think it's possible, given that how they snapped and said it was fake tan, that maybe they had used fake tanner earlier in the day and that stained the underside of their nails dark brown, but they've washed their hands since, but now they just look dark brown.
Yeah.
But they're not actually dirty. It's just a stain.
Yeah.
Which isn't going to transfer into your food.
No.
So that is a possibility, and I get that question all the time because my nails are stained yellow from pigment use over 10 years, over, using a peel-off base coat instead of a regular base coat, and just generally testing. And people tell me all the time, ew, your nails are dirty, you should wash them. And I'm like, bitch, it's a stain. And they're like, I wouldn't want you preparing my food. And I'm like, good, I was never going to make your food anyways.
She wasn't.
So, yeah, I kind of feel like maybe the sister-in-law was actively defensive because they saw the judgment from the poster and knew that the poster was judging them incorrectly.
Because it sounds like they already had some underlying insecurities, and that's why they launched into an attack on the poster.
I don't know if, is insecurity the right word?
Sure.
Or is it that
or
someone...
insecure that the tanner like stain them a little bit, and maybe it looks a little weird.
Yeah, or maybe they're defensive because they know that the brother-in-law isn't well informed about how self-tanner stains your nails.
Yeah.
And maybe the brother-in-law has been very judgy in the past. I don't know. We don't fucking know all the information. I think at the end of the day, though, like, if you don't want to eat something, you don't have to eat it. But also, don't be a dick.
Well, it sounds like the poster wasn't a dick about it.
But maybe they were by their body language that they don't want to admit.
Maybe.
Because it does seem kind of peculiar that the sister-in-law was like had snapped 2 times unprovoked. Like, I don't fully believe that, but you know, who knows? You only get one side of the story in these Am I the Assholes? Mm-hmm. So Jen, would you eat anything that I make for you with these nails?
I mean, I wouldn't eat anything from you, just mostly because you don't know how to cook, not because of your nails.
I can make good garlic vegetables. Salt,
sure, I'll give you that.
A little bit of garlic spice.
Yeah.
Delicious. I have some spaghetti squash I was going to make if you wanted to stay for dinner, but it sounds like you're too judgmental and you just want to get out.
I can't with your dirty nails.
Jen!
Just kidding. None of these were us.
No.
I thought you'd maybe surprise us and you would have posted something about me.
Am I the asshole for stealing my sister's Sailor Moon book and coloring?
That never happened. I thought we were over this.
I'm just kidding.
You bring it up every time.
Because it's the only example I have of me hating you, and I swear to God, and that is a good thing. And yeah, I hope that I guess we've been good sister role models for all those out there who have not as ideal relationships with their sister, to know that there are sisters that do get along. And one thing I observed because like it was me researching for this as opposed to Ben, and I was looking up good ones to pull, is that it's really sad, and I guess this is just a reflection of broader society, that the vast majority of posts that had the keyword sister were all like really sad.
Yeah. Not everyone gets along, but that could also be, this could be another whole tangent of how society just puts women against other women sometimes. Or when you are sisters, you do get compared on certain things. Or
you're a brother who hates your sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's fuck the patriarchy and also just society. But if you have family that you get along with, even like this much, just like if you like them a little bit, just like open up a little bit, and maybe there's more to it. Maybe just have a bit more communication. And communication is key. Is the other thing that we learn here on Am I the Asshole podcast, is that just talk to each other, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, communication is usually very helpful.
That's how problems can often get resolved, if you talk to each other. All right, well, I want to thank Jen for being a wonderful co-host with wonderful nails that you can get now at holotaco.com, the new work-life balance cremes collection. And you're going to wear those throughout the week on corporate calls. Are you going to show them off? Are you going to go into a board meeting like this?
I'll just go sit like this the whole time.
Are you going to pitch them?
No.
You're going to say sponsored by... This meeting is sponsored by Holo Taco. No?
I don't think that would be ethical of me as a government employee.
Understood. I am joking here. All right, everyone. A big thank you to everyone for hanging tight. I know we haven't been around having the podcast for the last couple weeks. I hope that we're going to be back next week again with Ben, but we appreciate your guys' understanding. In case you missed it, Ben's mom did pass away a few weeks ago, so that's why he's been out, but we are giving him the time and space he needs, because life fucking sucks, basically, is the summary at that point. So thank you guys for joining us this week, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye. Bye.